Welcome to today's live action cookie decorating. I'm Hani and I am owner of blog Haniela's. Let me see who is here today. Hi Karen. Karen, I have a question. Is it pickleball that you play? Because I have something to show you if it is. Hello Sally. Yes, I know. It's very hard to believe. I'm already thinking Christmas. Hola. ¿Qué tal? Hello Penny. Heather, Marcia, hi Kathy. Hey June. How is it going over there? Hello Darlene. Oh yes, okay, so let me just do a little sneak peek. So I've gotten so many requests. Hello everyone, thank you for being here to do a pickleball. First of all, I had to research what pickleball looks like. So this is my version and I'm going to share. I think I will do a live in a couple of weeks on how to do these, but I will also have a tutorial on the blog and all the templates will be in a coffee shop. So yeah, so that I've been really busy doing different things. So today, guys, we're going to do brush embroidery. Do you guys know what the brush embroidery is? Have you tried this technique? It's very popular. It's nothing new. It's been done on cakes, cookies, and you can, I assume I've seen people do it in art as well. Wall art, I mean. Oh, these are Karen. These pickleball cookies are super easy. It's very easy, straightforward. You just need a stencil, and it's all airbrushed. You can also use icing, but with airbrush, it's super easy. Oh, Renee, you haven't tried brushed embroidery. So basically, brushed embroidery. Now, the queen of I'm going to show you. This is a very simple. This design that I did a couple of years ago, which is a store, a brand called Anthropology. Super easy to do. Basically, what you are doing, you are piping a line of icing, usually in sections. In this case, I just did dots because this is very basic, super simple. And then you're using a damp paintbrush and you're brushing away a portion of that icing. And it kind of looks like the embroidered stitching, you know? So here are a few more examples. Super simple. You can do a border like this, or these are for the wedding where I incorporated also some roses. Today we're going to use cutter from Wilton. This is a nesting cutter, really nice cutter. It's plastic, and you have so many different sizes. There are 6 cookie cutters in there. I also have, those of you who don't know, who are just joining in, I also have a live stream recap, kind of like a newsletter in my coffee shop. So you guys can download that. It's a free PDF file that includes some recipes and links to the tools that I will be using today, and just useful things that you can use to improve your skill. Okay, let's see who is here. Let's see. Hello, Kate, Kathleen, Renee, Shona. Oh, awesome. So you tried it. Hello, Linda. You've tried it on cakes. So, okay, let me just see if I have a few more things I wanted to share with you. Okay, so I think we can actually go ahead and get started. I think it's best to just demonstrate what I'm talking about. So I am using a flour cookie, and I am just going to ice it with 15-second consistency here. And I colored my icing with 3 different shades of, this is kind of like a salmon color, I would say. So a little bit of pink, and then you can add just a touch of orange to get this color. I'm starting with the lightest of the 3, and then the middle is going to be darker. So if you have any questions while I'm icing, you can just pop them in the comments. Can you show that wedding sample again? Okay, after I do this video, I will show that wedding sample. Well, you mean with the roses, right? I did that many years ago. I remember that vividly because I thought it was going to be so complicated. But brushed embroidery, it's only as complicated as you make it in your head. Really, it's not that difficult to do. And you can You can also practice. I'm going to show you how you guys can practice on parchment, and that way you can get hang of it. And also I'll show you some alternatives, because sometimes it's hard to, if it's hard for you to pipe the line, you can just use dots, and that's really effective as well. So now I'm using that lighter, the darker shade, and now let's do the middle with the darkest of them all. Now to blend these together, I decided to use a palette knife. Palette knife is able to move icing faster, and because it's so wide, the strokes are thicker, so you can really nicely blend the icing together. It's really great for creating ombre background if you wanted to try that. You can use a scribe. A scribe, it's very thin, fine tip, and it's not going to give you the same result, and it's definitely not as fast. Okay, so this is what I did with all the cookies. Obviously, you can do an array of different colors, and after this, you have to let the cookies dry completely overnight. And we're going to, okay, I think that's it. All right, so I'm, oops, oh. So I'm here. Let me bring up my camera so we can get started. Let's dive in to this. So this is my cookie. This is completely dry. I also want to show you, now I've had these cookies for a while, and I was just sharing this in my Instagram stories yesterday. So just seriously, a minute ago, I picked this up, and this just stayed in my, it's like a sheet of icing ended up in my hand. So this, I'm curious if this happened to any of you. Hello, good afternoon. If this happened to any of you, and what are your theories? Why is this happening? I'm going to tell you why I think it's happening, but I'd like to hear what do you guys think. What is the reasoning behind this, or like why would it happen? It doesn't happen that often, but usually on all the cookies that I've had sitting around, it happens. I feel like it's either the oil or like the grease on the top of the cookie that kind of causes that, or sometimes people say that it's overmixed icing, but then why is it not happening on all the cookies, right? All right, so the easy fix is you're just going to glue it back on, a little bit of royal. Now my royal, this should be slightly thinner, but this is all I have on hand here. So I'm just going to wiggle it, shift it a little bit, and make it flush with the cookie, and that's it. Easy fix. All right, so let's do the practice run. So this is a template. I don't think I released this tutorial. This was actually embroidery cookies with the stitching. Old icing, yeah, it could also be the old icing, I think. Oh, really? So this had, oh, display cookies, yes. Yes, it could also be that, absolutely. It happened to me on the gingerbread houses. That's why I refrain from putting the gingerbread houses on display about the mantle, because the heat, like if you're using your fireplace, the heat kind of dries everything up, and even royal icing, it will literally like decorations, if it's even piped, like swirls and stuff, it will fall off in a sheet. Okay, so I traced the outlines of this on the parchment. So this is how you can practice. So if you don't want to waste your cookies. And here I have, this is pretty thick royal icing. With brush embroidery, you have options. You can use runnier icing or thicker icing. If you're using runnier icing, the texture is not going to be as much as visible as with the icing that is thicker. Okay, so I have some runnier icing here on hand, but let's do the thick icing first. So these are supposed to be daisies, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and start at this end here. Hopefully the parchment is not going to move. Sometimes it slides. Oops, like I predicted. And I'm using, this is a piping tip number 3. You want to use tip that gives you thick enough line so you can brush away some of this icing, okay? Now I've got here some water. I'm just dipping that in. Let me get paper towel. You just want it to be damp, not wet. And now we're going to brush some of the icing away. I'm aiming for the middle of the cookie. Now, if you have some icing accumulating on your, let me zoom in, on your brush, paintbrush, you can simply just clean it up, blot it on a paper towel, okay? And if you need to, you can, again, dip your brush in water and start over. And this would be filled with yellow dots, okay? Super simple. Now, if you're struggling with piping the zigzag, what you can do also, and I mentioned this earlier, you can do dots. So I'm just going to do dots like this. And this, if you're just starting out, you might find this easier. Okay, now let's do this again. Yes, sorry, I will talk about the brushes. The brush I'm using is a square brush. It's a small square brush. I'm using it sideways, but I think depending on what you are looking for, you can obviously use it as is, like this. You can also use different brushes. Let me bring this up so I don't go in the view. Depending on what you're looking for. So let me bring up the brushes. Okay. So I've got a number of brushes. Depending on the texture you're looking for, you can use different brushes. You can even use a round brush if you want to, but I personally like to use square brushes. These both are Wilton. This is Borderlands Bakery Lisa. You see how these are all squared, or even Filbert. I think this is Filbert. Filbert, this is 1/4 inch Filbert. This one is Filbert. So you can use these, but I find that when you are using a brush with long bristles, it can give you some, I mean, it's advantage or disadvantage depending on the project. So if you are working on very small section, let's say you're doing a rose and you want to do a small leaf, this may be a problem because it's too long, okay? This one, you can obviously trim it with scissors if you needed to. So today I'm using this one. And this one, it's from a set from Wilton that I talk about a lot. It's a 5-piece set, and it's also in that newsletter I mentioned, and I actually circled the one that I'm using. You see on the bottom there, that's the one I'm using today. I love this set. If you don't have it, check it out. Download the free live stream recap with all the links, and you can get this set, and you will use it. I guarantee it's really, really good. Okay. All right, so let's start on the cookie now. So I'm going to bring up the cookie that you saw me decorating before. And like I said, this is a number 3 piping tip. You can use number 2, but if you use number 2 piping tip, the line is not going to be as thick. So you have to be mindful so you don't brush away too much of the icing, because then the point of the brush embroidery is going to be lost. You'll just have a flat line. You want to have some high and low in there. Okay, so for this, I'm going to use the dotted technique, and we're going to pipe 6 dots. And another thing is, as you progress, you'll be able to do this quicker. But in the beginning, I suggest you do one line at a time, because if you do all the lines, by the time you get to the last line, the icing will be crusted, and then it's really difficult to work with, and you'll have to start over. Thank you, Carol. It's really fun. It is really fun to do. The technique I'm doing, the design I'm doing today, it's super duper simple. You can obviously do a lot more complicated designs. If you do decide to do a complicated design, it's better. I find it's better to trace the outline on a cookie. You can use a scribe. You can create a template. Like this is a simple template on cardstock, and trace the outline on a cookie, on your icing with a scribe, not the marker. The scribe, I think, works better. And then you can just, like I said, follow the outline and do one line at a time. Okay, so let's start with this project. So I'm doing 6 dots And now let's bring this in. Hey, Jeremy. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope she feels better soon. Nothing fun to be sick, right? Especially if the weather is nicer. Is the weather nicer? I know last week we had a huge. I don't know if the fires are still going, but there was a lot of pollution and smoke, right? So I hope that improved. I hope the quality of air improved for you guys. I know how difficult it is here in Spain when it's dry season, like last summer. I remember waking up in the morning and I couldn't go outside because everything was yellow and we had ashes falling, so that wasn't fun. So, but it didn't last. Oops, it didn't last as long as for some of you guys. I know some of you were stuck home and the kids were not able to go outside, so that's not fun. Hopefully, it's better by now. Like I said, this is an alternative technique where you use dots instead of piping the lines. And my icing, you can see it's on a thicker side. It's not a runny icing. Definitely not runny. If you're using runny icing, I have one in the bag, so maybe I'll bring it up and show you what it looks like. And it's also important to use damp paintbrush. Don't use a dry paintbrush. It's better to use damp paintbrush. So I've got water here in a cup and paper towel so I can blot it and remove excess water. Any questions? Just pop them in the comment section. You see, I'm only removing portion of that dot that I piped. I'm not removing the whole thing. If I pipe a small dot, there will be nothing left. She's super mad because you are. Why don't you let her watch? All right, so let's do another one. I'm using side of my small square brush. Those of you just joining in, this is a square brush. I love these. They're from Wilton. Super affordable. Oh, hi, Angie. Yeah, it's not the wet. It's more of a damp. I have water here. I keep dipping the brush in the water and I'm blotting it onto a paper towel to remove excess. As I'm doing this, I didn't just dip it and did all of these in one streak. I keep dipping the brush in the water. It also removes any residue of icing that got on the bristles. I'm glad you were able to join us, Angie, today. Yes, Sally, I agree. He's quite mean, isn't he? So now if you want to do the second row, I suggest if you can just eyeball it, you can use a scribe tool. So I've got my scribe tool here. And I want to do a placement in between the two petals. Let's call these sections petals. So I'm just using my scribe tool. I'm scratching the surface very lightly. And this is going to be my guide. Okay. So for these, I'm going to do 4 dots. So we're decreasing the number of dots. Again, I'm doing 1 at a time. If you are fast, you can do more than 1 at a time. And again, Dampen your brush and bring it in. Turn it. Another 4. Like I said, this is a simplified technique using dots. If you are new to this, or you are struggling with your wrist or something like that, and you cannot do this movement, okay, normally you would see me do this movement. If you cannot do this movement in one line like this, you know, it's I suggest you do the dots. Okay, so let's move that out of the way, and we have a couple more. Oh, Linda, you have a yes. I know I'm such an avid Wilton brush user, paintbrush user, but you can go to the like art store or something like that and they have plenty of flat brushes. I'm sure that you can get any flat square brush of different sizes. Some people even use angled brush. So it's really, you just practice a little bit and find what kind of feels more natural for you when you're using the brush. If it's the angled brush, go ahead and use that. You don't have to go by what I use. They are all pretty well. Personally, like if it's too soft, then the result, the bristles are not hard enough to kind of like pull that thick icing away. So I would say it shouldn't be like super soft, but not like, you know, rock hard. So this is, I don't think this, I would say this is super soft, the one I'm using. But it shouldn't be like, this is very soft. You see how soft this is? This is the filbert. I have plenty of these and I love these. Also for brushed embroidery when you're using it on the side. But the bristles, like I said, they can be a little long for certain projects. I don't know if there's a name for these square brushes. I would just, yeah, there's no, the filbert I know because it's written on it, but the other brushes don't have a name. So just go to the store and just look at the different brushes they have. I'm sure you'll find something. Oh, and I have to show, Kathy was asking for the bridal heart cookies, so I'll show those in a minute. Sorry, I forgot. So you see, if I'm adding, my dots are smaller, you can compare. See this outer edge, I piped a lot more icing than here, so it gives you a different result. Let's do all of these at once. Yes, the wooden brushes, yes, they tend to peel. I agree, June. I have the original Wilton ones, and they're all peeled. They were light pink at the time, maybe 10, 15 years old. Yeah, so these are plastic, and they really durable. They last for a long time. The only issue I have with the brushes, and I find like the neck often because it's glued on, but it's an easy fix. You can just glue it back on. So now with this last bit, again, I'm using my scribe here. You don't have to. This is just so I know where to pipe. It's just easier. You can also use a cookie cutter if that's easier for you and just trace it on. For this, we're going to do 2 dots. And again, take my brush. I'm dipping it in water, blotting it on paper towel so it's damp. And I'm brushing it, pulling it inwards here into the center of the cookie. Okay, now let's do okay, hello. Yeah, well, I haven't had good experience with the round brushes, I have to say, but I'm glad you were able to use the. Let me bring up the comment. Use the brush and were successful. That's great. Okay, so for the middle, let me bring up my. For the middle, we're going to do a flower center, but I also wanted to talk about before I get to that. Let's take a little break. And remember in the beginning when I was icing the cookies, so I used three colors. Now, if you want to do a really quick icing, you can dip your cookies. These cookies, not the blue part. Blue part is stencil. These cookies were dipped in icing, 10-second consistency, and I share all the details about how to create these on my blog, hanialas.com. You just have to type in royal icing dipped cookies, okay? And also a link to this tutorial is in that newsletter that I mentioned earlier. You can see it here, royal icing dipped cookies. So if you get it for free from my coffee shop, it's there. And also Father's Day is coming up. So if you have any last minute projects, you can try and use these. I have a template actually, I think. Yes, I have a template and also a full tutorial is on the blog. These are really cute for all the dads. And one last thing, yesterday I put up a reel in my on my Instagram, and I was showing how to hand cut cookies with a template, and it was a coffee mug cookie that you see on the right of the screen. And then somebody, I think it was Deborah, she said, well, it looks like a handbag. So yesterday I was like, okay, so I have to do it. So it's the same cutter, you see, it's the same cutter, two designs. So it's really fun when you look at the cookie cutter and you can think of different ideas what to do with it. It really just like brings out all the creative in you. So try to look at the cutters and think of different things that you can do with it. Think outside of the box. Outside the box is, what am I looking for? Okay, here it is. This is what I wanted to talk about. Many of you are using food colors that are very expensive, and many of you probably don't know that you can actually freeze royal icing. It's super easy to do. I like to freeze it in Ziploc bags like this. I freeze it on a tray first, so it's solid, and then for the ease of storage, I keep it upright like you see here in the picture. The only thing about frozen icing is that I don't recommend using frozen icing for fine details like writing and things like that. And I would only freeze it for 3 times, the same icing, because after that it develops, the texture kind of gets rough and there are some crystals in there, so it's not ideal. But it freezes really well, especially if you are freezing, if you are in need of dark colors like black and red. You don't want to waste those. Let's say you made some Valentine's Day cookies and you don't know what to do with all the red or pink, so you can save it and have it for Christmas. Okay, no need to waste all that icing. Oh, I've got to get better at dipping and stenciling. Yes, dipping is quite easy. The only nuisance about dipping is the air bubbles. Yeah, they are. Yeah, it's the only thing. But I find that if you let the icing rest and let the air bubbles kind of rise to the surface, and then I will just like bang it on the surface, or you can gently like stir it, and the air bubbles pop. Yeah, it does work. Oh, thank you, Linda. Thanks, Sally. Oh yeah, you still have the jars without the snout, I guess, right? Those you need to use a toothpick. Yeah, the squeeze bottles are much better. Although I find that even squeeze bottles, there is some waste, but I suppose that's, I mean, we can't really avoid it. Avoid. Oh, the dipping never saved you any time. Okay. Yeah, well, it's not for everyone, I suppose. It's not for everyone. So okay, so I'm gonna go back to Okay, I'm gonna show you how to make flower centers. And I think June, if you are still in a call, I had a good giggle because on Instagram I was asking folks what is it that these are for, and June she guessed that these were gonna be pom poms, but they could be. So what I'm doing here, I'm preparing my flower centers. You can do this easily on parchment. I'm using acetate. Underneath there, I just have my or inside of the acetate, my protector sheet, I have a template. And I used about 20, 25-second consistency icing. And immediately, oops, you want to dust it with sprinkles. And I used white nonpareils. Let me bring up my nonpareils here. Oops, or my centers. Okay, so it's focused here. So these have been drying for several days. And I mean, it's super simple to remove these. These should come off. And you can make these ahead of time. You could also use these for Christmas. Yeah, for Christmas you could use these for different things like snowballs or things like that, or pom-poms. Here is another variation. I really love these small micro nonpareils because they work so much better for the centers. These were traditional size, although they are nice, but I like the micro. But the micro ones I can't find in white, so I just use these. And I'm going to take one and use it for the center here. Okay. And Kathy, I promise after this I'm going to show that picture. Oops, the icing just came off. That picture with the heart cookies. Okay, so now just placing it in the middle. There. The beauty about this is that if you colored, let's say you want to add some gold. Here I've got some ivory royal icing, and you can do the brushed embroidery with ivory and then let it dry, and then you can paint your design with gold to add some bling to it. Okay, let's see what we have here. You were no, June. Don't say you were wrong. I love when you play my silly games. Oh yes, Kali is a great inspiration. Yes, I've done so. I've ever since, yeah, Kali. I've been looking at cutters differently. Really, I tried to. Well, I have one flip that didn't really turn out so well, I think, but I'll show it to you anyway. I might share it. So can you guys guess what cutter this is? Okay, let me back up for a little bit. I'm just going to wait for you to tell me. What do you think this is? Thank you, June. Thank you. Yes, the icing of the center dries hard. Okay, let me just bring that again. So I'm waiting. If you can tell, yes, it's a graduation cup. But as you can see, I was trying to do the flower bouquet. So it's very hard. You see, I can even, yeah, it dries hard. I wouldn't use icing with corn syrup if you're trying to make transfers because then you can have some issues with drying. Thank you, Lupita. Oh, it's you see a fish, so that's excellent. So because okay, I succeeded. Looks like a shark. Motherboard or mortarboard. Someone holding skirt. Okay, so okay, hold on. So you don't see a flower bouquet? If you don't see a flower bouquet, then I failed terribly. Okay. Anyway, so I was just yesterday. I was cleaning my studio, getting organized before the summer hits, and oh yeah, absolutely. That could be a board with the cheese and stuff. Yeah, yeah, I like that idea. So another thing, graduation cup. If I turn it over, you'll see it clearly. It's a graduation cup. And this shape is so limiting, right? It's so limiting. But I love when you guys come up with ideas as well. Sally, I love that. Oh yeah, it could be a stingray too. Yeah, I love this brainstorming. Awesome. Okay, so I'm trying to think. I had something else I wanted to share with you. Yes, okay, here we go. Like I mentioned earlier, I use white icing, right, for my cookies, but you can also go be a little more adventurous and use different colors, you know? You can even layer different colors on top of each other and brush them together to create different designs, okay? So this is, I've got blue and pink, so let's do a little bit. Let's do, where is my template? I can find my template. I can't find my template. Here it is. I'm gonna do one with this so we can see what it looks like. And then I need to locate my scribe. It's such a mess here. Oh, upside down state of Texas. You are a true Texan, right, Shauna? Okay, so let me do one of these so you can see what I was talking about. So I'm using my scribe. I'm just very gently scratching the surface. This is going to leave an outline behind that I don't know if you can see. Now I'm gonna go ahead and bring this is my pink or claret, and I've got my, this is Wilton 2, number 2, so it's a smaller tip. Now again, let's bring that brush. I'm dipping it in water, dotting it on paper towel, and now we can bring this in. Oops, more water. There's excess icing, again, remove it, wipe it off into a paper towel. I don't know if you can see, but I added a little too much water here. There's a section with a little too much water. So what you can do, you can either use, you can actually use a Q-tip, clean Q-tip, or take a paper towel and just with the corner, you can just hold it there for a couple seconds and it will absorb that excess water. Okay, and now we can finish this. Let's say I'm going to do those dots here, so I'm gonna, oops. Right, and then you can add, let's say you want to do, where's my template? Here it is, like this. You want to do a little flower here. Okay, so I'm using, this is a very thick line, but you get the idea. You can use different shapes and then add more details. Okay, so with that, I'm going to just have a look if we have a few more questions. Where is it? What's the icing consistency? The icing is pretty thick. It's not a it's pretty thick icing. It's not like 15 or 20 or 25. It's up there. It's like a piping consistency where, or maybe even beyond that. I would say you pull the icing up with your spatula. It has a peak that bends down, okay, but it doesn't become blended with the remaining icing in the bowl. Oh, Karen, I think you don't give yourself enough credit. I'm sure you're creative enough, plenty creative. Sometimes it's just like turning the cut a different way, you know, and just maybe looking at it from different perspective. Okay, everyone. So I'm going live again next week, and Amber will be joining me next week. I think I will be doing those pickleball cookies I mentioned earlier, or something else. I haven't decided yet. I have a few ideas in my head that I'm playing around with. So, but for now, I think it will be pickleball. And again, you can get a free recap for this live in my coffee shop. Let me quickly bring up the link for the coffee shop in case I didn't do that before. Okay, so let's. They need to be more neon green yellow. Oh. But you can do them any color you want. I looked online, but they come in such a variety of colors. It did say that the most like the popular was the yellow, I think. Yeah, maybe I'll try again do them more neon yeah green. But you can try making them, Karen, and send me the picture. Once I have the template, you'll be able to get the template, but it's not ready yet. Yes, you could use that to make the explosion. Absolutely. Brushed embroidery can be used for so many different things. Thank you so much, guys. So I put the link for the, yeah, send me the picture. Thank you, everyone. I will be live again next week, like I mentioned, with Amber is joining us. And if you don't want to miss any more lives and all the fun stuff about cookies, it helps if you sign up to the newsletter, and also don't forget to share the video and give me a like. It helps a lot. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Until then, have a great week and get out there and go for a walk if you can. It's important that you get outside and enjoy the sun. Bye, guys.